welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley, and today I'm going to be reacting to my latest set of 5-star predictions and seeing if I was right. I have a feeling these are going to be very, very wrong. It has been so long since I did my last round of 5-star predictions. I think this was my second round that I ever did, where I would do like a side A and a side B, where I would make the predictions and then react to them and then make the predictions. And here we are again, ready to react to them. This video came out December 7th of 2020. So it has been a year and a half since I have made this video. I'm honestly scared to watch this for a multitude of reasons. I don't know what this is gonna be like. I'm pretty sure I've read all the books by now. I remember I revisited this like 6 months ago to see how many other books I had to read. And a book that I just read 2 weeks ago was specifically because I had it marked down as my last book I had to read in order to make this video. So I'm pretty sure I've read them all. Don't remember what all the other books were that were on the list other than that one that I just read. But yeah, this should be an experience. So let's just go ahead and jump on in. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and I like to talk about books, and today I'm going to be doing another set of 5-star predictions. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this intro. I forgot that I used to sit here.
Last set of 5-star predictions.
My hair is so light.
So hot. I ended up getting none of them correct. None of the books I predicted as 5 stars were 5-star ratings. This time I'm coming back with a stronger set of 5-star predictions. I have better methods this time. I think I can get at least one. That's what we're aiming for. We're aiming for one correct 5-star prediction.
The bar was low.
So let's jump right into it. The first book I have on this list is on this list sort of as a trap for myself to have to read it in a timely manner so that I can follow up on this video. I'm just sort of forcing myself finally to do this, and that is Dracula. I have heard such good things.
So I did read Dracula and I did really love it. I don't remember if it was a 5-star though. It was either a 4 or a 5, but I don't remember. I think I gave it 5 stars. I think I got one right. I'm gonna have to check. Let me check Goodreads. Darn. According to Goodreads, it was only a 4-star for me. I don't know if you can even see that. But that was close. I did really enjoy Dracula a lot. I do have fond memories of that one. The only thing that would have made me give it a 4 instead of a 5 is it is a very slow book. It's a long book. The version that I read was like at least 500 pages, and it is pretty repetitive in the way the actions unfold. I do think that was intentional, but it was a little bit boring to read. But overall, I did really enjoy Dracula. It is a classic that I remember fondly. I want to read more horror classics. This is like one of the few horror classics I've actually read. But yeah, I was really glad I read it. It was a good time. I am glad that I put on my 5-star predictions to force me to read it, because I know I would have procrastinated on it like I procrastinated on Frankenstein. I have owned Frankenstein for years and I still haven't read it, but I definitely want to. But at least this went kind of well. Like a 4-star is very close to a 5-star, so I didn't get it correct. I'm still 0 for 1, but I did have a good time with this one.
Next up, I have one I feel very, very confident about, and that is In a Holidaze by Christina Lauren. This is a holiday romance book, and it may be surprising that I'm putting a romance book on this list.
Why did I think this was a 5-star prediction? Like, why was I so confident about that? I need to hear what I said.
Because I don't typically read a lot of romance, but I am super in the mood for a really, really good Christmassy romance. I have been thinking about this book for a long time. I just keep wanting to read it, but I want to save it for Christmas. I just love the concept of it. It's about this woman who has to keep reliving this holiday over and over and over again until I guess she gets it right or she falls in love.
Okay, I kind of get how I thought this was going to be like the best Christmas romance I could get, because of the concept of this being a woman living the day over and over, like the Groundhog's Day kind of thing. And I love stuff like that. I love when time is played with, time loops, living time over again, time travel, anything to do with time I find to be a really interesting story, because it usually gets down to like the meaning of life and the heart of life, which is sometimes cheesy, but it really resonates with me to read those types of stories. This one certainly was not a 5-star. I don't remember the exact rating. That's the problem with waiting so long to do these videos, is it's been so long that I can't remember what I gave it. Oh shoot. I gave this a 2-star. On Goodreads. I thought it was at least a 3. Okay, I wrote a review. It's very short. It says, "This was quite the letdown. The characters were pretty flat and boring, and it didn't utilize the time loop enough to make the story interesting and unique." Okay, reading that back, I do kind of remember, I feel like the time loop is only used a very few amount of times. Like it doesn't time loop a lot, which is typically what happens in like those Groundhog Day type stories, is it's like over and over and over again and you're making more mistakes and learning more things. I feel like it only happened like 3 or 4 times, but again, like I read this book so long ago that I genuinely don't remember all of that. And I don't remember feeling like as disappointed as other people were with this book. I know a lot of people didn't like this book, but I really thought I remembered it being a 3-star for me more so than a 2-star. Like if you had to ask me now what I think of that book, I would say I thought it was fine and it was a 3, but I guess I felt more strongly negatively about that book back when I read it. But I guess either way, it was not a 5-star. So we are now 0 for 2.
Next, I have The Hole. This is a translated novel. It was the winner of the 2017 Shirley Jackson Award.
This was also not a 5-star. This is not going well. This was good. It was a 3 or a 4-star for me. I can't remember which ones. We're gonna have to reference Goodreads because it's been a while. But it was just really slow and not a ton happens. Yeah, according to Goodreads, this one was a 3-star for me. According to my review here, I did read it for a Summerween reading vlog, so I'll link that if you want to reference that to see my full thoughts on this one. And my review says, this definitely had good creep factor and felt very eerie the whole time, but ultimately didn't have a lot of payoff for me, which is how I remember that book. The vibes were very good, the atmosphere was very good. It was a horror book that evoked a lot of suspense and dread, and so that was really well done, but ultimately not a ton happens in the story, and so I didn't get that great feeling of satisfaction in the end. I find that happening for me with horror more often, where I like the vibes of the book a lot, but I wish there was a little bit more plot or something a little bit more surprising, which is probably because I'm so used to reading thrillers. I'm like conditioned to be expecting to get a big payoff, and horror isn't like that all the time. Sometimes it's just you're there for the vibes. So this is definitely a good one that I would recommend if you're there for the vibes as well, but just don't expect this huge mind-blowing thing by the end because it is just like a very slow, short little story.
Next up, I have The Collected Schizophrenias. This is an essay collection from, I believe, a woman who has schizophrenia, and it follows her time towards getting a diagnosis of schizophrenia and then venturing into the daily realities of life with a mental illness.
So this was a DNF for me. So definitely not a 5-star. We are 0 for 4 at this point. I tried, but for the life of me, I could not get into this book. I could not get into the writing. It was just very wordy, very dry, and it just wasn't pulling me in. I definitely don't read a ton of nonfiction anymore like I used to. I never really read a ton of nonfiction, but I used to read more than I do now. So part of that is like, I'm not always in the mood to read a nonfiction book, but this one just wasn't as compelling as I was hoping would be. The writing was just a little bit too smart for me, honestly. Like it just kind of felt like reading a textbook in some ways, and ultimately I decided to put it down. So that's embarrassing. Let's go ahead and see what the last book is. I already know what it is, and I can tell you it was not a 5-star.
And the last book I have is a book I've had for a long time. Everybody's read it. People in my personal life ask me about it all the time, and they can't believe I haven't read it because I read so many books, and they're like, how have you not read this one? Listen, when a book's overhyped, I avoid it at all costs because it just stresses me out. But I think it's finally time for me to take the plunge and read this book, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens.
So now I have read this book, and if you've been keeping up with my videos lately, you will see what I thought of it. It was a whopping 1-star. I hated this book. It's not necessarily that I thought the book was offensive or terrible in any particular way, but like my experience with the book was a 1-star experience. I just had to be true to that in my rating. Sometimes I would be a little bit more generous because I'm like, oh, I can see how others would enjoy this book. But that book, I was miserable reading. I was so miserable. I only pushed through because I decided to vlog it. I don't know why I had heard it be talked about as this like compelling mystery, this crime case, this courtroom case that's going on, and you're following this girl, and I thought there was going to be suspense, and they all suspected the Marsh girl, and that sounded a little bit creepy and tense and like small town vibes, and I just had this idea in my mind of what it was going to be. I definitely wasn't expecting a thriller, like a high, fast-paced thriller, but I did expect it to be a lot more of a like literary mystery, literary suspense, and it was just a straight up historical fiction book, which is fine, but that is not what I was expecting at all. So I had a terrible, terrible, terrible experience reading that book, and it was the farthest away it could possibly be from a 5-star read for me. So in conclusion, I do not know my reading taste, I will never know my reading taste, and I can't predict 5-star reads. Also, can we talk about how wild it is to see how long my hair was and how light it was? Like, why does it look kind of blonde? I don't remember my hair ever being that light, and that was just natural from like the sun. I just recently dyed my hair darker like 4 or 5 months ago now, and this is what we're working with now, but like I can't believe it was ever that late. So I think the lesson learned here is, yeah, I just don't do a good job at predicting which books I'm gonna love, or at least I didn't a year and a half ago. I do think I've come quite a long ways since then. I haven't done another round of 5-star predictions yet in this format. I don't really think I wanna do it this way anymore. What I did at the beginning of the year was I made a video where I was talking about the 22 books that I need to read in 2022, and out of those books that I had that I really wanted to read this year, I picked which ones of those I thought would be 5 stars for me, which I think was around 6 books or so. So that's kind of the format I think I'm going to do for 5-star predictions moving forward, is at the beginning of the year talk about books that I really want to get off my TBR and which of those I think will be 5 stars. So I won't be talking about those books again until 2023 or like the end of 2022 probably, when I'll react to that list. I will say I looked at it like a month or two ago out of curiosity, and I don't know if it's gonna be much better than this one. I think it's gonna be a little bit better, but I still, at that point, obviously didn't know my reading taste. So I am just really struggling out here. I have no idea what I like to read. I have no idea how to tell a 5-star. Typically my 5 stars are more surprises. I don't usually expect them to be 5 stars, and that's usually what makes me feel so much excitement about it and give it a 5 star, is because it's a surprise. So I think it's gonna be kind of hard for me to predict 5 stars. What I do think would be fun is seeing if you can guess 5-star predictions for me, so then I'm not having to think about it, but you are thinking about it, and maybe I can still be surprised by some of those. I have done a video before where I read your book recommendations, but it wasn't necessarily geared toward guessing what would be a 5-star. It was just books you wanted me to read, and I do think that would be a lot of fun. So for today, instead of leaving an emoji in the comments to let me know that you got to the end of the video, leave a 5-star prediction for me down in the comments. What is a book that you really think is going to be a 5-star book for me? Try to think hard. Maybe it's something that you wouldn't expect me to love that I could be surprised by, and I will go through that list, and then at some point, if I've got a couple good recommendations, I'll put it together and maybe do a fun reading vlog for those. I think that could be a ton of fun, and it could be a competition to see if you know my reading taste better than I do, which, you know, the bar is very low at this point. So I think you can at least get me 1 5-star. I think you have a good chance of that. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.